Welcome to Navanda Studio, home to the exclusive Narrative Society, where stories come alive and voices craft enchantment. Please, ma'am, head straight, and then turn right. The evening's tale is about to unfold. And don't forget to subscribe to our super exclusive club.
Hello, friends. Please take your seats. Let the storytelling begin.
Have you ever felt like someone in power was just, untouchable? Like they could use their position to bend the rules, maybe even, abuse the system, and it felt like there was absolutely nothing you could do.
Yeah, that feeling of powerlessness.
Exactly. And then, out of the blue, someone you'd never expect just stands up. That's exactly the kind of story we're digging into today, based on source material you shared with us about a case in Oakwood.
It really is a classic tale, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, instead of David and Goliath, we've got an English teacher and a judge. The core tension the sources lay out is fascinating. Judge Arthur Bryant, this powerful figure.
Right.
Versus Sarah Miller, who you might think is the least likely opponent. But, the story takes some truly unexpected turns.
Absolutely. And our mission in this deep dive really is to unpack these sources and pull out the core insights, the actual blueprint for how one person, armed with knowledge and, frankly, a whole lot of courage, navigated and challenged a system that seemed, completely rigged against her.
And the material you sent gives us everything we need, all the details to see exactly how she managed it. It often starts with that feeling, doesn't it? Just being utterly fed up with power that seems immune to accountability.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Northwood High. We meet Sarah Miller. She's an English teacher, right? In her element.
Yeah, teaching To Kill a Mockingbird, talking about courage, justice, standing up for what's right.
And the sources say this isn't just a lesson plan for her. It's like a quiet passion, something deeply inspired by her late grandfather.
Yeah, we learn he was a small-town lawyer, dedicated to defending the voiceless, apparently really focused on protecting the vulnerable. His values clearly stuck with her.
So it wasn't just theoretical for her.
Not at all. It shaped her whole perspective.
And then comes the catalyst. Sarah sees a headline, local paper, about Judge Arthur Bryant's controversial ruling. Something about diverting school funds.
Exactly. And this wasn't just something she read quietly. The sources show she'd already spoken out passionately at a town hall meeting against this very decision.
Oh, okay. So she was already on his radar, maybe.
Potentially. She pointed out the direct impact, on the school budget for new computers, after-school programs gone, and maybe even more urgently, the unsafe streets in the Willow Creek area where lots of her students walk home.
That connection between the funding and student safety, that's powerful. And didn't the source say the developers benefiting were, known associates of the judge?
It did, which certainly raises some eyebrows, doesn't it? And what's interesting here is the context we get about Bryant himself, Sarah's colleague, Jessica. She warned her after the town hall, be careful.
Why? What was the word on Bryant?
The sources say he had a long memory, a notoriously short temper, especially if you questioned him publicly. Hated it.
Uh-oh. So when Sarah kind of laughs it off, thinking, what's he gonna do, sue me? I'm just a teacher? That's, dramatic irony kicking in.
Big time. She couldn't imagine the form his reaction would take. And then, bam, it arrives. An unexpected court summons.
For what?
A minor rolling stop traffic violation, something she'd already paid online weeks ago.
Get out. Seriously. And the chilling detail here from the source.
Judge Bryant himself was listed as presiding over a paid traffic ticket.
Wow. Okay.
This is the moment it clicks for Sarah. She remembers that icy glare from the town hall. This isn't random. This isn't an error.
This is targeted.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, the sources give us a peek into Bryant's chambers. His ego is bruised, big time. Material describes him just seething, demanding his clerk, Martin, get him everything on Sarah Miller.
He wasn't used to being challenged, clearly.
Not at all, especially by someone he probably saw as, insignificant. It was an offense he couldn't let stand. And the narrative hook here is potent. Bryant thinks he's plotting revenge against just a teacher. He has no idea who he's really dealing with.
So the trap is being set. Bryant gets Sarah's file. What does he find?
Okay, so he finds out she graduated state law school 15 years back and wasn't just, a student,
Yeah, it was good.
top of her class, but, and this is crucial, she never took the bar exam.
Ah, and how does Judge Bryant read that?
Well, according to the material, he sees it as, like, just enough knowledge to be a nuisance, but not enough to truly defend herself. It fits his narrative, right? Vulnerable target. Easy to intimidate.
So his plan forms.
Yep. Modify the summons for that paid ticket to failure to appear, and then tack on a contempt of court charge for good measure.
And his clerk, Martin, what's his reaction? The sources mention him.
They do. Describes him being really nervous, stammering that this is basically, well, fabricating charges. There was no hearing she missed. The original ticket didn't even require an appearance once paid.
But Bryant doesn't care.
Nope. Shuts him down. Chillingly just says, judicial discretion. He wants to make a quick public example of her, teach everyone a lesson.
Wow. But he didn't just stick to the courtroom, did he? The sources mention him escalating outside, too.
That's right. Casually dropping comments to Superintendent Collins at, like, a Rotary Club dinner.
What kind of comment?
Expressing concern, quote unquote, about politically active teachers. And then mentioning Sarah specifically. Collins, knowing Bryant's influence over school funding, well, he feels the pressure.
And that pressure trickles down to Sarah.
Directly. Principal Davis calls her in, relays the superintendent's call, mentions the summons for failure to appear in contempt. And the material says Bryant himself had personally expressed concerns about educators disrespecting institutions.
Oh, the framing is just insidious.
Totally.
Yeah.
And Principal Davis hints this could seriously affect her teaching contract.
That must have been a gut punch.
Absolutely. Floored. She finally gets it. This is 100% retaliation for the town hall meeting. She immediately calls the court clerk, right? Says, hey, I paid this ticket. Here's my confirmation number.
And the clerk's response.
Classic runaround, full of red flags. Records show notification was sent, though Sarah got nothing. Payment processed, yes, but then subsequently flagged for court appearance due to irregular processing.
Irregular processing.
Right.
Deliberately vague.
Exactly. This is Sarah's decision point. The injustice, the sources say, feels like a physical weight. But then she thinks of her grandfather, remembers his big case against some predatory loan shark.
And his words come back to her.
Yeah, the powerful count on ordinary folks not knowing their rights or being too scared to fight. Our best weapon is knowing the truth.
Okay, so that's the turning point.
Absolutely pivotal. The shock fades. Replaced, the sources say, by cool analytical clarity. She actually pulls out her grandfather's old law books, her own textbooks from 15 years ago.
Dusts them off.
Pretty much, her determination kicks in. He picked the wrong teacher to intimidate, and she opens this big book, Judicial Ethics and Misconduct. Game on.
The battleground shifts. She's not just defending anymore.
She's building her case. And this is where it gets really interesting. Bryant thinks he's got her cornered, right? Just a teacher who knows a little law.
Yeah, a nuisance.
But Sarah, the material describes her apartment turning into a kind of war room. She's digging deep into Bryant's case history, public records, connecting dots, circling patterns.
And what does she find?
A history? Subtle, maybe, but clear. Using minor infractions, procedural tricks against people who'd crossed him or his buddies.
Like who? Are there examples?
Yeah. The sources mention a journalist hit with a tax audit after a critical article. A young lawyer facing bogus bar complaints after challenging one of Bryant's rulings. He was careful, though. Nothing huge on its own. Most people just gave up.
Easier to just pay the fine or whatever.
Exactly. Meanwhile, the pressure on Sarah keeps ramping up. She gets a text from Jessica, her colleague, warning her Principal Davis is going to start observing her classes under the guise of curriculum review.
Oh, come on. So transparent.
Sarah sees it right away. Another chess move by Bryant, using the intimidated school admin.
That must have brought things to a head for her. Fight and risk her job, or give in.
And giving in by this point is unthinkable. So she looks for guidance again, her grandmother's journal, finds this old clipping about his win against some corrupt official.
And his advice?
It echoes. You don't fight power with power head on. You fight it with meticulous preparation and irrefutable truth.
Meticulous preparation. Okay, so what does she do?
3 crucial calls. First, an old law school classmate, Maria Rodriguez. She's now at the State Bar Association, Ethics Division.
Smart. Okay, who else?
Second, David Kim, bright former student of hers, now an investigative journalist at the Oakwood Chronicle.
Ah, getting the press involved, potentially. Smart. And third?
A simple message to the court clerk. She would be representing herself, pro se.
Bold move.
Very. She takes a personal day from school, tells them she's consulting an attorney, which Technically,
She is the attorney she's consulting.
exactly. Spends hours at the county law library. Sources even mention the librarian, Mrs. Peterson, noticing her intensity, helping her find some specific volume on contempt proceedings. Sarah apparently commented something about real research still happening in books.
I like that detail. Then what?
Hits the courthouse public records office. Requests transcripts, specifically from Bryant's previous contempt cases. The clerk apparently gave her a look, like, why these specific ones?
She's building that pattern. And does David Kim, the journalist, come through?
Oh, does he ever? Delivers the goods. His investigation reveals something huge. Bryant's use of contempt charges spiked over 400% since he took the bench.
Whoa, 400%. That's not subtle.
Not at all. And Kim's reporting confirms the pattern Sarah suspected. The vast majority are against individuals who publicly opposed him or had run-ins with his business buddies.
My pattern is undeniable now.
Undeniable, but as David warns her, each case on its own wasn't enough to trigger state oversight. That's why her case, pulling it all together, is so critical.
Right. She has to connect the dots for everyone.
Precisely. So her prep is intense. Organizing everything, the original citation, the payment confirmation, printouts showing the court record status being manually changed after the town hall. She preps her legal arguments, practices her delivery.
How did she want to come across?
Respectful but firm, knowledgeable but understated. The sources called it the underestimate me at your peril look.
Love it. And then there's the final piece, right? The briefcase.
Yeah, this great detail. She places a single sealed envelope into her grandfather's old leather briefcase, her trump card, only to be played if absolutely necessary. The stage is set.
Okay, courtroom. What's the atmosphere like?
You know, the usual low buzz. But Sarah's focused. She watches Bryant. The sources say he's just like they expected. Brusque, impatient, cutting off people representing themselves. Martin, the clerk, looks super nervous.
Her name gets called. Docket number 47B, Miller, Sarah.
Failure to appear and contempt of court. She walks up. Calm demeanor. Steady voice.
And her plea.
Not guilty.
Okay. The initial back and forth. Does Bryant start condescending right away?
Pretty much. Asserts the facts are clear, simple. Sarah calmly presents her evidence, the paid ticket confirmation, states clearly, received no notification to appear, original citation had no court date.
And Bryant's reaction.
Annoyance flares up. Face gets red. He tries to shut her down, invoking his authority, and then, crucially, he makes a public insult, directly connecting her being there to her English class and those town hall comments.
He did it. He actually linked the court case to her protected free speech right there in open court.
Right in front of everyone, including, as he notices, a reporter scribbling notes David Kim, presumably.
So what does Sarah do? Does she react to the insult?
Nope. Stays calm. Points out her protected speech at a public forum isn't relevant to a traffic ticket. Then hits him with the key legal point: procedural due process requires actual notice. Where, she asks, is the proof of this alleged notification?
Puts them on the spot. What about Martin, the clerk?
Sources say he nervously fumbles, produces the form. Sarah dissects it right there. Dated October 10th after she paid. No signature, no certified mail receipt, no proof of service whatsoever. Violates Municipal Court Rule 7.3 for contempt proceedings. She calls it out.
Boom. So Bryant's cornered, procedurally. How does he react?
Loses it. Face turns crimson. Accuses her of amateur legal theatrics, having a clear problem with authority. And then, unbelievably, he doubles down, again tying the case explicitly to her inappropriate and frankly disruptive comments at the town hall.
He just keeps digging.
Finds her in contempt, slaps her with a $2,000 fine, 40 hours community service, bangs the gavel, declares the matter closed, thinks he's won.
But Sarah's not done.
Not even close. Her voice cuts through the stunned silence. A motion for judicial recusal is always timely, Your Honor, cites Judicial Conduct Rule 2.11, questioning impartiality.
The whole courtroom must have gasped.
Sources say they did. Bryant is visibly shocked. She then systematically lays out the grounds, pulling documents from that briefcase.
Okay, what are the grounds?
1. Appearance of bias. Cites his own words moments ago, linking the case to her protected speech. Clear retaliation. Procedural irregularities. Shows the citation marked paid and resolved. October 3rd, status manually changed. October 9th, after the town hall, no valid notification. Her records request showed hers was the only traffic citation altered like that in the past year.
Wow. Okay, number 3.
The pattern of misconduct. presents documentation on those 7 other cases, unusual contempt proceedings against his critics or people conflicting with his developable buddies. Cites Judicial Canon 2.2 judges can't let outside interests influence them.
She built that case meticulously. And then, the envelope.
Yep, plays the trump card. The seal envelope announces she's prepared to file a formal complaint with the Judicial Conduct Committee, including all the evidence, the irregularities, and sworn affidavits from 3 other defendants from that pattern ready to testify. Mentions David Kim's data too.
Oh my God. The whole room must have been buzzing.
Absolutely. Sources describe Bryant's face just going ashen, staring at her, realizing how badly he miscalculated. His voice is apparently hoarse when he asks where she got her legal knowledge.
And her answer. The big reveal.
Delivered calmly, powerfully. Graduated summa cum laude, state law school. Kept up her education, quotes her grandfather. Knowledge of the law is every citizen's best protection against its abuse. Then the legal mic drop. Formal motion for recusal, citing Hampton versus County Court, allowing immediate appeal if he denies it.
Checkmate. What does Bryant do?
Calls a recess immediately. Behind closed doors, the sources say he's furious, but knows he's trapped. Asks her what she wants.
And her demands.
Clear, non-negotiable. Dismissal of all charges with prejudice gone forever. Notation in the record. His formal recusal from anything involving her, the school, or the funding issue. And she hands him Kim's list, suggesting he review those other 7 cases.
Putting him on notice about those too.
Exactly. When court reconvenes, a visibly shaken Judge Bryant announces the dismissal with prejudice, recuses himself to avoid any possible appearance of impropriety.
Wow. Just like that, and outside the courtroom.
David Kim, the reporter, rushes up. Sarah's comment, caught in the source material, is perfect. Our justice system works best when everyone understands their rights and responsibilities. Today, it worked.
Simple, powerful. And the aftermath. What happened later?
2 weeks later, Judge Bryant takes indefinite leave from the bench, the diverted school funds miraculously restored, and Sarah gets apologies from Principal Davis and Superintendent Collins.
Vindication. The final scene described.
Sarah at home, quiet reflection, sees the photo of her grandfather, finds a note from her students thanking her for teaching them that standing up for what's right truly matters. Her takeaway, maybe education, courage, and belief in justice, maybe those are the most powerful forces.
Wow. What an incredible journey documented these sources. Sarah Miller, the teacher, versus Judge Bryant, the powerful figure misusing his authority. It really does hammer home that core idea, doesn't it? One determined person with the right prep and courage can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. And connecting this back to you, the listener, this story isn't just, a gripping courtroom drama. It's a powerful blueprint. Think about situations where you might face unfairness, intimidation, entrenched power. Look at what Sarah used.
Right, the elements, knowledge, meticulous prep, courage.
Finding allies, focusing on truth and procedure, these are tools we can all understand and potentially use.
It really does show how powerful systems, like legal procedures, can be misused, like Bryant tried.
But they can also be wielded with incredible integrity and effectiveness by people who take the time to understand them, like Sarah did.
It leaves you with a big question, doesn't it? Sarah's story makes you wonder what areas in your life or maybe your community could benefit from someone just taking a moment, truly understanding the rules of the game, the procedures, and then having the courage to insist they're followed.
That's a powerful thought to leave with. It really is.
And that brings us to the end of this deep dive. Thank you again for sharing the source material that let us explore this really remarkable story.
If this story kept you hooked, don't forget to like and subscribe for more gripping tales of courage, mystery, and justice. Join our super exclusive club and unlock a world of intriguing narratives that will challenge your perspective. Stay curious, stay inspired, and I'll see you for another unforgettable journey through history.